Hi there and welcome along to the 5th row of the 12 rows of Christmas. Now don't worry if you're just coming in on day 5. You don't have to have done the first 4 and you don't have to do the rest of them. You can do them in any order you want. You can just do one. You can do them all. You can do them over 12 days. You can spread them out over longer. It's entirely your choice, okay? As long as you row some of them. It's up to you. Anyway, what we're going to do today is 5 10-minute pieces. It doesn't really scan as the 5 10-minute pieces, but anyway, that's what we're doing. 5 10-minute pieces with 90 seconds rest in between. And we're going to do them at 18, then 22, then 18, then 22, and then 18 strokes per minute. And our pace is going to be 2k plus 20 and 2k plus 15 as we go between those 18 and 22s, okay? Now, there's a lot to talk about. Well, it's not really a lot to talk about, but because we've got quite a lot of rowing to do together today, I'm going to leave most of my chat within the row. So we're just going to get straight into the warm-up, okay? And it's a 4-minute warm-up as always. Now start off by setting up your machine on a concept 2. That means going to the drag factor and setting that where you want it to be. If you don't know anything about drag factor, then please check out the video I have on this YouTube channel. If you're not on a concept 2, then please just set it to a point where you get a good resistance, good kind of weight from the stroke, but not so much that you have to heave against it. Next up, go to your monitor, and if you're able to, set it at eye height so you don't have to look up and you don't have to look down. And finally, if you can adjust the height of your foot plates, then please set them to a point when you can come to the front of the machine comfortably with your shins pointing vertically, okay? Too high, you might not quite get there. Too low, you might go scooting straight past, which can cause hyperextension and possible injury, if not a power leak, okay? Now, like I said, it's 4-minute warm-up, and we're going to do this at 18 strokes a minute. And the power I want you to start at is just enough of a push from your feet that you can feel the power coming from your feet through your body into your hands, and you can work on the connection timing. But I'll talk about that as we start. Okay, so here we go then. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. So, you may have heard me say several times, or maybe this is your first time hearing me say, that you get the power into the rowing machine from your legs. Okay, so you push your feet into the machine, effectively pushing the machine away from you, although you're sitting down so you're going backwards, but this is the best way to think about it. But in order to get that power from your feet into the handle, effectively, you want to get the timing right so that as you push with your feet, that's when your hands connect the handle to the machine, to whatever makes your machine go. So in my instance, that's a flywheel. You might be on a water rowing machine or a magnetic machine, or who knows, but the principle's the same. Push with the legs, at the same time your hands connect. Now as you're working on that timing, just start to increase your pace closer to round about 2k plus 20. And if you don't know what I'm on about with this whole 2k pace thing, then it's based around rowing a 2,000 meter row as fast as you can. And then you divide the result by 4. So if you rowed it in 8 minutes, divide that by 4, that gives you 2 minutes. That's your average time to cover 500 meters in that row. And that's your 2k training pace. So when I say 2k plus 20, you would row at 2 minutes 20 seconds per 500 meters. Right, put one foot in the ground. Squeezed that one in today, didn't I? Oof. Right, I didn't say continue rowing with just one leg strapped in. I'm kind of hoping that you got that. But if you're just sitting there with one foot in the ground right now, make sure and row. We'll take 2 more with this leg and then we'll swap legs and continue rowing with your other one. It's always interesting to see if there's a considerable difference in pace. Yes, I am rowing, thank you, watch. Between one leg and the other. 2 or 3 seconds is maybe okay, but if you're like 10 seconds different pace between legs, then something's strange about your muscle imbalance there. Right, last stroke here, put both legs in, Legs nice and straight, and row with your back and arms. Okay, so you're just swinging backwards and forwards over your hips, kind of tilting forwards and back like a pendulum. You're not collapsing and rounding your lower back to do this, okay? And you pick up the weight of the flywheel with your back first, and then you pull in your arms. Then arms out, tilt forwards. It's really important that for your stroke. Okay, let's roll to the front of the machine with arms straight and a forward tilt, and just push out from the front. Not too forcefully. So I want you to just concentrate on holding your position as you push out from the front. And if you push too hard, you go flying off the back. Well, not flying off the back, but you'll kind of recoil into it. I just want you to think about holding this position, that feel for driving out with straight arms. Let's just do one more, even though we're at 0. There we go. That's a 4-minute warm-up done. Because today is quite a kind of, starts off at those 18 strokes a minute. You don't need to be super warm, but hopefully you're going to be nice enough and warm, ready for the start of it. So keep on moving up and down the rail, have a quick drink, and then I'll explain one more time what it is we're doing today. Okay, once again then what we're doing is 5 10-minute intervals with 90 seconds rest in between. And we're going to go between 18 and 22 strokes per minute as we go through these. So 18, 22, 18, 22, 18. And your pace is going to be 2k plus 20 for the 18 strokes a minute and 2k plus 15 for the 22 strokes a minute. But those 90 seconds rest in between are going to be what allow you to do all of this, okay? So, I mean, duration-wise, because we're going to be rowing for a total of 50 minutes, this is what's going to kind of push this into kind of that kind of mid-intensity. It's certainly not going to be a bottom low-intensity workout. It's certainly not going to be a max-intensity workout. It's going to be somewhere in between. So depending on your fitness levels, it's going to be just how intense this row is going to feel for you, okay? But it's going to be a good one. It's going to be an enjoyable one. It is, trust me. Okay, so we're starting off at 18 strokes a minute and at 2k plus 20 pace. You ready for this? Good. Let's go then in 3, 2, 1, and we're off. Now, 18 strokes a minute. I know that some people find just that little bit awkward because it's so slow, especially if you're used to rowing at higher rates. If you're like the kind of person that naturally just climbs on and rows at like 26, 28 strokes a minute, and you don't really do much of this low rate stuff, then I completely understand that you might find it just a little bit awkward. But don't worry about it. It's important in terms of your development to kind of build up your core fitness. And it's also important when it comes to just working on your technique. But really, it just comes down to flow and rhythm. So if you find it is uncomfortable, it's just because you're not used to rowing at this rate. And maybe you haven't spent time working on or thinking about the flow and rhythm that your stroke needs in order to be able to row at this low rate. And the rhythm is kind of probably the key here, depending on how you're approaching this kind of row. And that's because you really want to look at the ratio of how you're rowing. And that's at a 2-to-1 of speed. So your drive phase is twice as fast as your recovery phase. As you come into the front, you push out nice and powerfully, but then you take twice as long to recover. So if you're used to rowing at higher rates and you're really just racing up and down the rail in almost like a 1-to-1 ratio, then if that's what you're used to, then suddenly slowing down to 18 makes perfect sense that you're uncomfortable. But if you can take time to slow down your recovery, so effectively your drive is still nice and powerful, it's your recovery that you use to slow the rate down. And then it comes down to the flow and rhythm of how you get through the different phases of the stroke as well. And by phases, I mean, don't know quite why I shouted the word phases just then, but hey, by phases I mean the catch, which is right at the front before you start the drive. Okay, so the catch, drive, then you get the finish, which is as you pull the handle in and you finish putting all the power into the machine. Then there's the release, which is when you move the handle away from your body again. And then there's the recovery, which is when you roll back into the front of the machine again to the catch, ready for the drive again. And the important thing is that although it goes catch, drive, finish, release, recover, I'm amazed I managed to get all that out in the water. Usually I fluff one of them. Although it's those individual elements, they all flow into each other. You're not going boom, 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 boom in this real jagged motion from piece to piece. Everything feeds into the next one. It should be fluid and flowing. The only time really that you're ever stopped is like a 20th of a second at the front as you go from rolling forwards to pushing out with your legs again. And even then you want to keep that turnaround as quick as possible. So the drive leads in to the finish naturally. The drive is when you push with the legs and then swing over your back and then pull in your arms at the back of the stroke. You don't pull from the front, you pull at the back. And then the finish instantly becomes the release. So you pull the handle into your chest, but then you instantly send it straight back out again at the same rhythm you pulled it in at, or same speed. So it goes whoom whoom, whoom whoom. It's not a lightsaber, as much as I may make those noises. Whoom whoom. It is just a handle on your rowing machine, but the point is you pull in and then you send it out at the same pace. And then that release of the handle triggers the tilt back forwards of your back. So the handle forwards and the tilt forwards are the release. And then once the handle is past your knees, you should be back into that forward lean into the front of the machine to around about a 1 o'clock position. And then you bend your knees to slide into the front of the machine, into the catch again, ready for the next stroke. But everything happens fluidly, especially the release into that knee bend recovery. So it just goes arms, back, knees. Arms, back, knees. Because the momentum of your arms away is what causes that forward tilt, and then the momentum of the forward tilt then sends your body weight onto the front of the seat. Your center of gravity is now moving forwards, so that when you bend your knees, they're not even pulling you forwards. All your momentum's going forwards anyway. But it's the slowing down and the precision over the handle, back, knees that helps you to slow down the recovery phase of your stroke, and therefore hit that 2-to-1 ratio of drive to recovery without stopping dead. Because you'll notice I'm not stopping and then racing to the front. Okay? This is not the ideal way to row. Only for the fact that I'm exhausted from doing that. For those on the podcast, I was stopping at the back of the stroke and then racing forwards to the front of the machine. It's all about fluid rows. Last stroke here. There we go. Can you believe I spoke about that for 10 minutes? I do love the sound of my own voice, don't I? No, just trying to keep you company. I mean, somebody posted something on one of the YouTube videos just kind of saying, thank you for talking the whole way through. It's much better to connect to a voice that's kind of giving tips on technique and stuff than it is to just have some bland background library music, which I kind of hope's true. That said, you can load up your own your own separate unit to get your own bland background music. And that's kind of why I just talk and don't have music on it. It means that if you want to play Deadmau5 or ZZ Top or I don't know, anyone in the background, you can just load up another tab on the computer and play that in the background, or have a different device playing it and you can watch me, who knows. Have a drink. I'm going into the next one in just 30 seconds, so make sure you're comfortable. Maybe have a slight reseat of your seat, where you just lift your sit bones off your glutes for a second, ease the pressure on them. Okay, we've got 15 seconds to go, so get yourselves back into the straps. 10 seconds, pick up your handle, make sure you're nice and comfortable, get into that good starting forward tilt. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So remember, this is 22 strokes a minute now. And 2k plus 5 pace. Oh, sorry, 15. Whoopsie. Yeah, that'd be a bit of a shock. You're there going, what the? You sprung that one on us. No, 15, sorry. So I'm aiming for bang on 2 minutes per 500 meters for this. As being the last 2k I did was bang on 7 minutes. So my average 500 meter pace for my 2k right now is 1:45. So adding 15 seconds to that means I'm rowing these at 2 minutes pace. I can only apologise for that error in the pace guide. It would completely change the intensity of this workout today if we were doing the 10 minutes of 22s at 2k plus 5. Trust me. Like I said, I mean, the intensity that we're doing these 10-minute intervals at is probably going to be around about 5, 6 out of 10. This is probably going to feel like 6 out of 10 on a perceived effort scale. Sorry, I missed out the word scale there. But although it is pace-wise quite low, like I said, because we're rowing for 50 minutes in total today for the main session, it does kind of break out of the bottom low intensity workout for most people. It'll start to just creep into that mid zone where you do start to feel just that little bit rounded off the edges. It's not going to be quite like a 6 times 5 minutes at 2k plus 5, where you do really need to embrace the discomfort in order to continue. It's not going to be like that, but it's certainly not going to be a bottom. Top end of bottom intensity, or the lower end of a mid intensity. But 50 minutes is a lot to get in your legs, even with the 90-second rests. So, I mean, I'd expect over the course of today's row, what's that, 5 times, say about, hang on, I'm trying to do maths, give me a sec, 13. By the time you factor in warm up and cool down, I figure I'll probably be about 13.5k today for me, because it should be these 22s, if I do them at bang on 2 minutes per 500 meter pace, then that's 2.5k for each of these, and then not that far off it for the 318s, and then around 1400 meters for the warm up and cool down. So it's quite a lot of meters to get in. Very handy as being still in the middle of the winter Concept 2 challenge, or the holiday challenge, that's what they call it. So it's a good way to munch away at some meters for that. Alright, so we're past the halfway point on this interval. So it's worthwhile. I didn't really explain the right position to be in at the catch. I kind of spoke about having your arms straight and a forward lean on the recovery. I didn't really say why. So I might as well do that now before time goes on too much. But in the warm-up, when I was saying how the power comes from your legs and you want to get it connected to the handle at the same time. The other thing is that you have to be in the right body position to get that power into the machine. As you push your feet into the foot plates. And that position, in a global overlook, is straight arms. You are tilted over your hips, leaning into the front of the machine to run about 1 o'clock on the clock face. And from a posture point of view, you're up on your sit bones, nice and powerful. So you don't want to have a rounded upper or lower back as you come into the front of the machine. So if you have straight arms, forward tilt, and a good posture, and your seat slide takes you just as far enough for your shins to point to a vertical position, then when it's time to put the power into the machine and you get the timing right between your feet and your hands, then the power should flow up through your posterior chain of your body into your arms and into the handle. And then the trick is to hold your arms straight and that forward tilt until your legs are halfway through the leg drive, and only then do you swing your upper body from that forward lean to 11 o'clock layback at the back of the stroke. And then only after you start that swing do you finally bend your elbows and pull the handle to a finish. So you do not pull from the front of the machine. As you drive, that forward lean and straight arms should mean that you just hang off the handle, like you were hanging from a pull-up bar. So the power just surges until the back of the stroke, when your legs are pretty much done, and then you add in your arms for a strong finish instead of weakening it by pulling from the front. All right, we're almost done. One more. What do you think? We'll get one more in. There we go. Oh, I was 4 meters shy of 2.5 kilometers for that one, so I was obviously slightly off pace. 0.2 according to ErgZone. So I rode that at 2 minutes and 2/10. Naughty John. Have a drink. So yeah, just to quickly explain, if you were to jump up onto a pull-up bar and just hang from it, okay, you're not pulling yourself up with your arms. I've got a standalone video about this, which you can watch, but you're not like holding on going, I'm trying to hold, you hang completely off. The reason I'm not putting my hands up in the air is I'll go out the top of the screen. I don't want to, there's no point in that if you only see my wrists. So yes, you just hang. You don't bend your arms. You don't fight against your weight. And that's what you do in the rowing stroke, is you hang off it. Then only at the back do you pull in. Okay, we have 20 seconds to go until interval 3. It's just flying by today. Make sure and wiggle your backside. Ease up the pressure from your sit bones on your glutes. 10 seconds to go. Pick up your handle. Make sure you're in a good starting position. And then when 3, 2, 1, we go. So back down to 18s. And this will feel like a walk in the park. In fact, the first 3 or 4 strokes, you might find that you're blowing your stroke rate a bit because your body is used to rowing at 22 now. But hopefully by now, you're locked back into 18s. Remember, you can watch me on the video, and that might help with the ratio thing as well. If you try and match my drive speed to my recovery, and then look at how I keep on moving through the stroke and don't stop. Podcast folks, I'm afraid you just get to listen to my flywheel and my dulcet tones. There's not that many Scottish people rowing and talking at the same time. Don't know how often Cameron Buchan makes row-alongs like this where he talks at the same time, but he's the only other Scot that I know that makes rowing videos, and that's where the similarities between the two of us end, because he is so much bigger, badder, better, stronger than I am. But like I say, I don't know if he keeps you company by talking during his videos. Now I have to admit, I don't really watch the competition purely out of I know this is a very petty thing, but I don't want to give them an extra view. It's where the YouTube algorithm kicks in. The more views a video gets, and the more likes a video gets, and to an extent the more comments, the more YouTube will think it's a popular video and display it to other people, which I suppose is probably why all the other channels, I don't mean just rowing, but all channels, constantly tell you to subscribe to my channel and bop the like button and leave me a comment, all that kind of stuff, which, I mean, from time to time I'll remember to do that at the end of a video, but you know what, I want to waste your time with my own particular brand of chat, not waste your time with a whole marketing YouTube thing. I'm sure you'd much rather hear that I'm having sausage pasta for dinner tonight than hear me talk about the importance of joining my crew or paying for merchandise or whatever. I mean, the option's there to hit the like button and subscribe. You can go to my shop and buy a t-shirt, by all means, but to be honest, I'm just about keeping you company. As though I was sitting next to you. I'm just your buddy that you row along with, who can't stop talking. But because I'm talking the whole time, you don't need to talk. You can just concentrate on your own workout. And you know what? I'm happy with this. I don't have the numbers that my two big competitors have, or even Cameron Buchan, but I kind of figure that everyone that watches wants to watch and keeps on coming back. That you're not really a transient viewer who just come and goes. We're friends. Just a very one-sided friendship. And the truth is, I mean, to be honest, I'm talking about this today because I was messaging one of the viewers today, David, about kind of this very thing. Just the fact that I don't really want to really hammer this and start to annoy you all by turning this into a money marketing thing, because I love making these. I love that it helps a lot of people. I love that I'm able to connect with so many new friends around the world. Well, virtual friends. Friends in the cloud. And all the while, it's by doing something I love, and by doing something I would have been doing anyway. So pretty much all the sessions I make for you are sessions I would be doing even if the camera wasn't rolling. But because the camera's rolling, I keep coming back and making them. And because people watch them, I keep coming back and making them. So you're helping me to have the motivation to do things like 30 days straight of 30-minute workouts, or this 12 days straight for Christmas. So I think it'd be rather rude, I think you'll agree, if I started to charge you. I'd be like, I don't know, you charging a PT for the pleasure of training you. I think it works, doesn't it? Yeah. So, that's why. I just want to help folks. And while I can make these and enjoy them, I'll keep on making them and enjoying them. It does help, of course, that my day job is making TV programs. In case you didn't know, my day job is as an editor. So I just sit at a computer and edit together footage to make TV programs. So because that's what I do, I find the actual post-production side of these interesting and easy. Lord knows that if that wasn't my skill set, there's absolutely no way I would be churning out quite as many of these videos that I do. So it's a good triptych, really, of the fact that my skill set for my day job comes together with something that I love doing, and that having done it for the past few years, I've learned how to talk to you and row at the same time. I've still not learned to keep it on point and talk about stuff that you care about. But, like I said before, these 18 strokes a minute intervals are really just about getting into the rhythm and flow and then holding it there and doing so without getting bored. And I kind of hope my meanderings, if you find me vaguely amusing, here's hoping, just distract you from being bored and you get a good old workout. Okay, one more stroke, because trust me, for me anyway, that 10 minutes just went vroom, almost like the vroom vroom of the handle. If I had time, then I'd turn the handle into a lightsaber during that section of the video. But I don't have time. That's a little bit more complicated, so in terms of getting these into the edit suite, turning them around and getting them online is maybe, well, do a lot of stuff in the background, but it probably takes about 2 hours from start to finish. If I start adding in lightsabers, that's going to make up to 3 hours, and then I might not be able to post it on time. There's no point doing 12 rows of Christmas if I don't get them up in the 12 days. Don't worry, I'll talk technique a bit in the next one. But sausage pasta I'm really looking forward to. Whoa. A nice creamy sauce with some whole grain mustard in the creamy sauce, some fusilli. I can't remember what else. Smoked paprika, that's what it is. So Philadelphia sausages, whole grain mustard, and some smoked paprika and some onions. 10 seconds to go to make the sauce, and then some pasta. Yummy. Okay, 5 seconds to go, and then it's 22s again. 3, 2, 1, go. Now remember, 2K plus 15. Haha, got it right this time. Now to get that power up, I know it's only 5 seconds difference and 4 strokes per minute difference, but to get there, both the pace and the stroke rate up, it's just about pushing a little bit harder with your legs. So when you push a little bit harder with the legs, your drive speed should be just that little bit faster than it was at 18s. And because at these low rates, you row with that 2-to-1 ratio, because your drive speed is faster, so is your recovery. And that is how your stroke rate increases. And then also that increase in power and the increase in stroke rate combines to result in a pace increase as well. And yes, you can push harder with the legs to really increase the pace. So if I was to really push with my legs here, but I'm going to do it. I'll keep it 22s, let's see. So I'm still at 22. One more. So I got to 146 just then, which is 2K plus 1 for me. So I can increase pace just by keeping the same stroke rate and adding more power to my leg drive. But then what happened there was my drive speed was a lot faster compared to my recovery. So that was more like a 3-to-1, where my drive speed was 3 times faster than my recovery. Do you know what I mean here? And so that's the two ways to think about increasing your pace, is increasing your stroke rate, which, well, if you want to keep the same ratio, increasing rate involves an increase of your leg drive anyway, but then you can hold your stroke rate and just push harder. This really makes a huge difference if you're rowing something like a 5k or a 10k or 30-minute piece or something, where you may start off at around about 26 strokes per minute, and you'll row like the first 2/3 of your race or session at, say, 26 strokes a minute and 2k plus 10 pace, just as a ballpark. But then once you get 2/3 of the way through your row, you want to start increasing your pace. And so the first thing to do is an equal balance of extra power from your legs to then increase your stroke rate. So you go from 26 and 2k plus 10 to something like 28 strokes a minute and 2k plus 7 or 8. But then, rather than continuing that way, what you do is you hold 28 strokes a minute, but push more power from the legs. Maybe go up to 28 strokes a minute, but 2k plus 5. Ooh. Then you basically just do that leapfrogging until the finish. So then you increase to 30 strokes a minute and a little bit faster pace, maybe 2k plus 2. Then increase your pace with just your legs, 30 strokes a minute and 2k. And then rate goes up, pace goes up, then legs go up, pace go up. And eventually what happens is you get to a point where you're kind of all tapped out. You can't push any more or any harder with your legs. And that's when you just increase pace by reducing your ratio. So you're still pushing as hard with the legs, but your recovery speed increases in order to increase your stroke rate. That's kind of something you do in the last 90 seconds or so when you're just running on fumes, and the only way that you know you're going to finish strong, or fast at least, maybe not strong, is by increasing your stroke rate. And that's all from trying to keep that fluid flow of a stroke for as long as possible. I mean, if you look at me in the last 90 seconds of a race as I'm trying to squeeze out every last second from my pace. You'll see my technique totally falls apart as I start lunging into the front of the machine in a desperate hope that more chain length will make up for failing muscles. I mean, if you're in a boat, it's different because you have to keep the boat afloat and moving efficiently. So no matter how tired you get, you can't really just switch your technique to just yanking on the oar. Whereas on a rowing machine, you can get away with it. There are more similarities between rowing machines and a boat than there aren't, but it is handy to remember that unless you are training on a rowing machine to supplement on the water training, then there are some technique things that you can do to go faster on an erg than you can in a boat. Okay, almost there. Let's see how many strokes we need. Probably 3. One more. Yeah. All done. There we go. Probably as a virtue of those quicker strokes that I took. I got to 2,506 that time. So that evens up the 4 that I lost before. In case you care, my total distance right now is 9,799 for this main session. So, by the time you include the warm-up, I've definitely broken 10k for today's total row along. Don't worry if you're not anywhere near that. Have a drink. Oh no, wait, wrong bottle. That's yesterday's bottle. I've said before, comparing yourself to others is great from an inspiration point of view, but don't use it for motivation, because say you look at that and you're like, wow, I can't believe, I mean, it's me, so you won't be saying this, but that I've done 9,800 meters almost. It's great to look at that and go, wow, that's achievable. But if you use that as motivation, the longer it takes for you to match this, the less motivating it becomes. Right, 10 seconds to go until our last interval at 18s. What's he going to talk about this time? 3, 2, 1, go. I know I've not been, remember it's 18 strokes a minute, 2k plus 20 pace. I know I've not been my usual constant technique chat today, but you know, even I will agree that if all you ever heard was me saying, drive from the front, straight arms, forward lean, into that backward lean, make sure and pull your arms in nice and powerfully, it would get a bit boring. Normal service will probably resume tomorrow for the 6th row of the series, but for the time being, well, I've just realised something. I will be uploading this, so today's a Thursday, but you won't get to see it until Friday. And there may be some more loyal viewers who are like, hang on, it's a Friday. Why is he having sausage pasta? After all, Fridays, it's Spag Ball Friday. But that's why, it's because today's a Thursday. So what I'm doing is I'm recording these the day before so that I can get them turned around, edited and uploaded for around about 10 o'clock in the morning UK time. Whereas if I was to record this on the same day, I wouldn't be uploading it until about 9 or 10 at night. And so that would make a complete mockery of what I'm trying to do. Now my plan is still to do all 12 of these, and then it will end, day 12 will be Christmas Eve, and then if I can clear it with the family, at round about 11, 12 o'clock Christmas Day, when all the presents are opened and the kids are just surrounded by chocolate wrappers, I want to come out and do a half marathon row on Christmas Day. And I'll do it as a live row, and not only stream it to YouTube and Facebook, but hopefully, as long as I can get the tech right, do it as a Zoom call too, which, if anybody wants to join in for, they can. And if I block out a 2-hour window for it, then it also means that even if I finish before anyone that's on there, I can just hang around, watch you row, and maybe give you some live feedback while you're rowing. Let's see. We'll see how many people are interested in this as a concept. But I'm hoping I could at least do the live to YouTube and Facebook. Plus it stops me drinking beer or too much beer on Christmas Eve. Because even though I stopped drinking, I do intend to still celebrate with a couple of glasses of beer. Because otherwise, what's the point? I mean, yes, health, very important, as is my plans to remain lightweight and get back into racing for the 2022 season. But what's the point in destroying myself and being miserable? Not that I'm saying I find happiness in this in the bottom of a glass of beer. No. A glass of Jack Daniels does that. I'm kidding. But you get what I mean. So, and really, listen, this goes back to what I was saying in the rest period just then about motivation. Really what you want to find is what keeps you rowing, what brings you back, or more importantly, what gets you started. And I'm going to make a standalone video about this, but I'll bury it in this one so you have it now. But say over the Christmas holidays, as much as you try, for whatever reason, you just fall away from any kind of activity, or you're rowing or whatever. Then it gets to January or whatever, and you're like, I really need to get back into rowing because that's when I was fit and all that stuff. But then you start to think about it and you're like, oh, what would I do? What session would I row? And you think, oh, I'll have to go on for 20 minutes and it's all hard work and first time back, lots of sighing, lots of demotivating chat. But what you do is you only look as far ahead as where your shoes are. Okay? All you need to think about is where are my shoes, where's my shorts, where's my shirt. I meant to say shorts there, but it came out wrong. Shoes, shirts, shorts. Where are they? And that's as far as you think. You get changed, and then you just climb on and you start rowing. Because that motivation to row is strongest right at the very beginning. Whatever you've seen or thought about that made you want to return to rowing. Maybe you spoke to someone, maybe you saw a photo of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and thought, I want to be in that kind of shape. Not that I'm admitting that that's my motivation, but you just let that be the trigger and then you don't look too far forwards. Just find your shoes, shirt, shorts and climb on, and then just start rowing. And once you're rowing, stick on some music or something, get going, and you can either just keep going until you stop, and that's you've done your first session, or once you're moving, that's when you start to think, right, how am I going to do this? What's my return going to be? But you still don't risk demotivating yourself by starting to think about, oh, I'm going to have to do a 2K plan and whatever. Just think about goals. What do you want to achieve? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to get faster? Do you want to get fitter? Then how do you measure it? And say you want to lose 10 kilograms. Well, don't look at it as 10 kilograms. Look at it as 1 kilogram every 2 weeks. And then within 4 months, you should have lost your 10k or your 10 kilograms. Last stroke. You might even find you lose it quicker because you're just looking at it in small bits and you're always motivated because you keep on seeing these small bits coming off. Whereas you only ever look at that goal in the distance, you're always thinking, oh, 10 kilograms. I've only lost 1, I've got 9 more to go. But if it gets to the end of 2 weeks and you've lost 1.5 kilograms, you're like, wow, I exceeded my goals. And it also means that way, the natural ebb and flow where your body will plateau for a while. It means that you don't get too disappointed. So say you did 1.5 kilogram loss after 2 weeks, but strangely only 0.5 kilogram with 2 weeks gone on because you maybe put on muscle and lost fat, but it's all been in equilibrium of itself, then it's okay because you're still losing weight and you're still within your thing. So that's the motivation. Really what I'm saying is you start at the very beginning, those first 2 minutes about where's my shirt, where's my shoes, where's my shorts, and where's my socks. And that's all you have to think about. And that gets you onto the machine. Thinking any further forward than that into like what session you're going to be doing that day, you start to then overthink the intensity, what it's going to be like. It's like if I walked into a gym one day and someone said to me, 2K, and I sat down and went, what? And started rowing a 2K. I'm sure I do so much better than when I go to a race and I'm sitting in the hotel room the night before thinking, oh no, tomorrow I've got to do a 2K, and oh, it's going to be awful and all that kind of stuff. And it's the same, okay? It's the same thing. Right, let's get into a 2-minute cooldown. I'm going to do this at 18s again, 18 strokes a minute, and right about that 2K plus 20 pace to start, and then we'll just slow down quite quickly. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. So again, apologies if you were looking for a deep dive in technique today, but I'm kind of erring on the side that more people who are doing today's session will have watched previous videos of mine where I do really deep dive technique as opposed to haven't. And also I'm kind of hoping that I kind of put in enough of the overview points about the positions you want to be in, certainly at the catch, those straight arms, and then keeping them straight through the leg drive. I mean, in this cooldown, it's the best time to practice it because you're not really thinking about pace. I mean, hopefully by now you already have started to slow down your pace, but still holding 18 strokes a minute. So slightly slower drive speed because you're not putting in as much power, but because you're slowing down, you can really think about that forward lean, arms straight, and you're not fighting against the machine. Because if you've got your resistance or your drag factor set too high, that could be one of the major causes of people that either grab and pull against the machine because they're fighting against it, or the people that swing their back and heave against the weight of the stroke. When you're rowing slowly at 18 strokes a minute, it should be light enough that you can hold those arms straight in the forward lean as you push to the finish. There you go, that's my cool down done. You don't have to stop cooling down, of course. You can keep going, or you can get off the machine and do some stretching. I recommend doing your quads, hip flexors, hamstrings, okay, most importantly. You can add in glutes if you wish, supine twists for your back if you've got a sensitive back. Do your shoulders, that's a simple one for the shoulders. You can do this one, interlinked your fingers and kind of push out, that gets forearm down there, as does the praying move as well. You can stretch your biceps and stuff as well if you're an early puller. I will make this video. I've started kind of just collating how I'm going to make it, what ones I'm going to talk about, how I'm going to talk about it, and I just want to do a run through with my my lovely wife who does yoga and stuff, and who can kind of say, yeah, you've got it, or go, that's going to hurt people. Because there's one about fingers that I don't really like, that one where you stretch your fingers by pulling them back. And so there's something that I do, but I want to kind of check with Julie and just make sure she's not going to go, no, you're going to end up snapping people's fingers if you do that. So anyway, there we go. I need to be quick because I have to go back to work. So I will actually have a quicker sign off. Well, that said, it's me, so it's not going to be quick. I do hope you enjoyed this row. Like I say, duration-wise, we're up there because it was 50 minutes worth of rowing in the main session, add on the 4 and 6. So distance-wise, in fact, why don't I give you an actual total? Oh, can I? Yeah, I can do it if I go into memory. Sorry, 1 second, caller. Just because I spoke about my total, what I was saying, so that's 422, remember that. I had 12,202, so that's 12,624. You keeping up? 12,624, 12,624. Oh, crikey, plus 883, so that's what, 30, yeah, right about 13 and a half, as I said. So yes, that's a good amount of distance for me to have done, especially as being I've not eaten anything yet, and I'm still within my 16-hour fast, so I'm starving, so I'm going to go. So it was a good session. It was definitely great for the 5th row of Christmas, the 5 10-minute pieces. So I hope you enjoyed it too. Row 6 is going to be back to a proper, just solid bottom tier, low intensity row, just because today might have kind of worn and whatever, and then we're going to go back into a tougher one after that. So this is how we're going to do the whole series. So I really hope you enjoyed this. I know I said I wasn't going to say this, but if you do want to subscribe, Or if you do want to, boop, the like button, then please do, because it does make a difference to the algorithm, okay? If you subscribe, comment, and like, then YouTube goes, oh, people like this video, and it gets in front of other people. So other people get to, so basically what you're doing is you're sharing the pain of having to put up with me, is that you're going to go, ha, I don't like the world, share, like, comment. And then everyone gets to see me and they all go, oh no, what's he saying? He's And especially it's worse if you're strapped into the machine. It's like Stockholm Syndrome. That's what I keep on saying. You can't go anywhere and I'm still talking and you're like, Hopefully not. But yeah, there we go. We are done for today. I really hope you enjoyed today's row. I'll see you in another one. Please look after yourselves. Stay safe. Be well. Bye-bye.